Let's start this again. Good morning. This is David, and it's Mindset Mondays with DTK, and had a lovely little sound glitch. So, Bill, thank you for letting me know. All right, so do this one quickly. Mindset Mondays is part of a year-long program of weekly live Facebook broadcasts for folks who have a growth mindset or would like to develop or hone one. So, the playground today is this one. Edit your life frequently and ruthlessly. It's your masterpiece, after all, right? So, concept to play with this one is, if you've got a pulse, you got time. and you know, I do have a tendency to be playful, and sometimes it can come off a little flippant. But then again, this one is sort of that simple. We make up that everything's so serious, that we've got one shot at things, that failure is a description, a way of being, an outcome rather than a sense of being rather than an outcome we experience in a momentary fleeting issue, right? So go back to Picasso, go back to the simplest idea that every child is an artist. The problem is to remain an artist once we grow up. So as we go through the experience of being surrounded by those homogenizing cultural forces, wow, how do we maintain that artistry? How do we maintain that willingness to put our creativity out there in the world? How do we maintain that willingness to be seen? So what if it's simple? You know, whether you like Tim Ferriss or not, his question of what would it look like if it were easy is a brilliant one. And it plays here beautifully. What if it were as easy as, instead of the clay or stone or wood from which we sculpt a creative piece, or whether it's the canvas on which we paint, what if we are the canvas? What if the trick to remaining an artist once we grow up is that we become the canvas? No, and I don't mean body paint or performance art necessarily, although that might be your thing. This is about, what if we applied our creativity to who we are, how we show up in the world, how what's important to us shows up, our work, our way of connecting, our way of being in the community. What if it's that simple, right? What if it's as simple as changing how we show up, changing the way we view creativity and creation? I love when things are simple. You know, Einstein said there are five ascending levels of intellect. And I'm pulling something up because I want to remember it correctly. And I'll do that while we're chatting. The five ascending levels of intellect. And we make things far more complicated than they are, right? The five ascending levels of intellect are smart, intelligent, brilliant, genius, simple. Einstein said that if you can't explain it simply, you just don't understand it well enough. We have a tendency to, I know I do, and what I see with clients and friends and family and colleagues is we have this amazing skill as humans and this tendency to make things more complicated than they need to be. What if Einstein's right? That the highest level of intellect is simple. Of course he's right. So, edit your life frequently and ruthlessly. It's your masterpiece, after all. So what if we made it simple? I make it complicated. I do it all the time. And I seem to unconsciously calibrate toward that. So for me, it's a matter of reminding myself that this can be easy. What does it take to edit? It takes changing my identity, my belief set. Changing how I see myself allows me to change the beliefs that I carry, which allows me to change the thoughts and stories that I tell myself, which is how I can change actions to get different results. If I just skip right to modifying my actions in hopes of different outcome, yeah, I'll get different outcome. But those always seem to be the most fleeting. So when I change the way I see myself, the way I self-identify, and you watch what's happening in the LGBTQ community and folks beginning to understand better how they identify in terms of gender or sexuality, their identity as they get clearer. It allows them to show up in the world more authentically. And that's a massive change culturally. And yet, what if we did the same thing within our work life? For entrepreneurs, when you see yourself as your business and you see those inextricably linked, oh my God, I hear it from my friends who work in exit planning and who work as business brokers and are working as financial planners, who are working with entrepreneurs as they exit their business. And whether it's selling it to their employees or selling it or transferring it through the family or selling it to an outside person, what queers the deal in the 11 and a half hour more than anything else is all of a sudden the owner says, oh my goodness, who am I going to be? Who am I going to be on the other side of this? When I wake up after the exit and I'm no longer the CEO of that company, the president of that company, the leader of that organization, holy crap, who am I? That's the challenge with wrapping your identity up in what you do. The do should be the logical extension of who you be. When what you do is the logical extension of who you be, then it's easier to edit your life frequently and ruthlessly. So yes, the more complicated part of this is getting clear on who you be, who you are at your core. Not having that defined by what you do in the office you show up to every day, in the tasks that you do every day. Yeah, and Lisa, I think that's part of it. Lisa says it's cultivating the self-confidence to be ever creative and ever ready to make change in one's life. It's holding the belief in the possibility that change is possible is key. Being willing to create is key. And that piece about cultivating self-confidence, this is all back to that idea of reflective intelligence, being able to and willing to look inside, to think about what you're thinking about, to feel about what you're feeling about, that metacognition component. When there's constantly a screen in front of you, and I know that I'm doing a live broadcast on a screen on social media. Yes, I hear that. The idea of always having screens in front of you. Scott Evelyn talks about one of the worst things that we've done is we have flat screens everywhere. Lobbies, restaurants, bars, hotels. Good God, we have screens everywhere. If we don't have one in our hand, we have one up on the wall. And there's always information to take in. Even with one of my values being that sponge value, that lifelong learner, always looking to take information in, I have to actively pause. We all do. We have to actively pause and reflect. What am I focusing on? What am I making important? Is that what's important to me? Pausing and listening, pausing and breathing, centering. I just had the amazing privilege of speaking to the Atlanta chapter of WPO, Women Presidents Organization, for their annual retreat. Just the idea of structured time to sit still and focus on what's important, being planful, self-reflective, and planful for the year. The annual retreat that they did was incredible, and the work they were doing was, I was so impressed by how they leaned in and the power they brought to that room and the willingness to lean into doing the hard work. Just that moment to pause. Where do you pause in your world? Where do you take time to think? I notice when I don't ride frequently enough, and Lisa will give me guilt offline later, when I don't ride often enough, that's one of the places I get that time to let the brain go. Body's consumed, riding, breathing, trying not to hack up a lung, avoiding cars. And it gives me a chance for my brain to go off. Creative play, letting the thoughts follow where they go, intentionally turning the thoughts inward. I have the opportunity to let my brain be in a different mood when I'm on a bike. So when I'm not doing that, I have to spend more time consciously creating space. Where are you creating the space to think, to reflect, to be with? Because in order to edit your life at all, let alone frequently, let alone ruthlessly, to edit your life, you have to reflect on it. And you have to know what you want to create. We're brilliant at defining what it is that we don't want. How good are you at defining what you do want? So that's what I want to challenge you to do this week, right? That's what I want to offer this challenge to you for this week. What is it that you want to create in your world? Looking at the idea of editing your life frequently and ruthlessly, instead of focusing on what you want to see different. Look at what's working that you want to see more of, or what you want to add. What do you want to create? Tom, I hear that a lot from folks who run. That is for folks who run and don't want to be caught. Best place for me, Tom Matt says, the best place for me to pause is while I'm running. Which sounds odd, but it's true. Totally get that. Again, body consumed, brain has time. So what is it that you want to create? What do you want to see more of in your world or added to your world? Go back to the conversation we had about, it comes from Simon Sinek talking about Martin Luther King. His speech was not, I have a plan. It was, I have a dream. He was superb. He was an expert at describing what he wanted to see created and was able to get people to lean into that dream. There were plenty of folks who could create the plan. What he did differently was he created a picture of the dream, what he wanted to see created. So for you this week, it's the opportunity to create, become an expert at describing what you want to see created in your world. And please join us at facebook.com/group/mindsetmondays. We're just shy of 1,000 members in this private Facebook group. And it's a great opportunity to share thoughts and learnings and things that bubble up from these conversations and things that bubble up in your world. Again, it's a completely private Facebook group. And no advertising, no pitch, just a thinking playground. Would love to have you join the conversation there. Again, it's facebook.com/groups/mindsetmondays. And again, we're here, or I'm here every Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, now that the time change has happened on both sides of the Atlantic, 3 p.m. GMT, and 7 a.m. Pacific. Love to have you join in. And again, between now and next week, what mindset will you choose?